Hey guys, welcome back to the Betar Project. This episode, we have Travis Young, someone I've been following since you jumped on the Ice Project. That's when I started
That's it,
following
bro.
you. Ever since then, man, just loved all your content. Thank you for coming on, giving me your time.
No worries, brother. Yeah, I think 99% of the people that follow me are because of Ice and from that podcast. And that just randomly popped up as well because a mutual friend of ours, Brad Takarangi,
Yeah,
set me up with a meeting with him, and I went and spoke to him about business, and then we kind of stayed in touch through that. And he actually, without realizing, he watched one of my videos that I put out about my when I was a year sober. I put out a big video of my story, and he had already saw it. And then he asked me when he was about to start his podcast if I'd be his first guest, and I was like, "What an honor! What a time to be
yeah.
alive!" So, bang, jumped on, and since then, kind of loved doing the podcast, and I love that he pushed me to do my own podcast now as well, which I'm really enjoying, and I'm guessing you are
It's
too.
crazy how meeting one person can like make you grow so much.
Yeah. Especially for me and Ice, we kind of just bounce off each other with different ideas, and every time we catch up, 2 hours goes in about 30 seconds. So no, I love catching up with him too, because we're both kind of on that same page where we're both a million miles an hour, and we've got 1,000 different ideas that we want to achieve. We kind of throw everything at each other, and then bang, we don't see each other for another 2 months, but we always talk to each other through messages and Instagram stories and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's why I love podcasting. You can network with so many people. It's awesome.
Yeah. How long have you been doing yours for now?
I started beginning of this year.
Was your inspiration through Ice as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon he's got probably like over 100 people, because I did a podcast last week like this, or was it the week before? Exactly the same situation. The guy saw me through Ice, wanted to reach out to me, and then he started his podcast because of Ice, and I started my podcast because of Ice. So
Mm.
he's doing magical things there
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Isaac John.
Yeah, it's good for you jumping on podcasts as well. Get your name out there. Helps you.
Yeah, man, I love sharing my story. Like, it's pretty painful going through some of the harder times, but at the same time, it also lights a fire, like it reignites a fire. So it doesn't
Yeah.
light it. Like, it's always there, but you realize how far you've come, and it makes you realize how much you don't want to go back to it as well.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Well, let's
yeah,
jump
no,
into
I
it,
love
man.
it.
Take me back to a young Trav. What was that like?
I was a good little kid, eh? I was mischievous, popular in school, good at sport. Really coasted through life. Had a really good upbringing. Love my mum and dad. My old man played footy, so I naturally played football because my brother played. I'm the youngest of four, so my brother's 8 years older than. I've got two sisters in between than me. Grew up in a beautiful suburb. Played footy all the way through till, geez, 2 years ago. Retired, but my upbringing was just pretty much all fun and games.
Yeah.
Life was pretty easy, to be honest. I didn't really have too much adversity besides fracture my skull when I was 11. That was kind of my first big injury.
Is that why you have
That's
the
a pretty big
scar?
injury. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
scar from ear to ear. So fracture my skull. So I was underneath a bed, and actually, I don't think I even told this story in public. I've only told people that know me. So I was 11 years old. We played a grand final, lost, worst day ever. Scored a try though, the only try. Went back to my mate's place, ate off cheese, had supreme pizza. I hate supreme pizza. And then when I went in, we were like going to. I was sleeping over my mate's place. We were about to go to sleep, and his two brothers were jumping from a cupboard onto the top bunk, and I was asleep underneath it, and the bunk collapsed. And I don't know if you can see, but like, I've got a scar that runs up there.
Oh yeah, shit.
That's where the bunk fractured my skull. Woke up. Well, I was asleep like this, and I woke up, and my two front teeth were in my hand.
Fuck.
So then went to the hospital. My mum and dad came, and my dad fainted. Big tough guy. And then my brother walked in, and he was playing first grade at the time, so I had a bit of size on him. He fainted as well because my head was just split right open. It was about that thick, the cut. And then 2 weeks later, I had to get surgery. So with the surgery, they cut from ear to ear. this gets pretty gross here. Cut from ear to ear. They pulled the skin down. I
Oh,
got 2 plates in there and screws and stuff like that. And I honestly think that kind of shaped me like for years to come, because that was a really big deal. It is, but for some reason, like, it just didn't really faze me. Like, the biggest thing was that I wasn't allowed to play. They told me I'd never play contact sport again. And then they said, you won't be able to play for 2 years. And I missed 1 year. And then I said, Dad, I got to play. Like, I got to play footy. I just missed the team sports. But, yeah, I think that kind of shaped me for years to come, because that, like I said, it didn't faze me too much that it happened. I just kind of went, all right, got to get surgery. I missed the term of school. So I saw all the positives, like, yeah, term of school.
yeah.
Everyone was buying me presents. I was getting heaps of lollies.
Cheering.
I went back to school a couple of times. I had 2 black eyes. I thought that was heaps cool. But I was getting really bad headaches. I still kind of get them now. But other than that, that was all I really, like, that was the only really problems that I had. Other than that, really good life. And then by the time I was 19, I did my PT course. And that was purely because I had actually no idea what I wanted to do. I love sport. I like training. The funny thing is, I was actually a shit trainer. I used to cheat heaps when we used to do footy training and stuff like that. But then I started getting the weight. So I was the worst.
Short of the line.
Oh yeah, I was the guy, you know, when you're Malcolm's, you gotta drop. Me and my mate, he actually lives here at the moment. We'd be running along and look at the coach, and if he wasn't looking, we just keep running. We wouldn't drop down. But I was a shocking trainer. I was just naturally fit, so I didn't really need to. Like, my dad was really, really fit, so fitness was never my problem. Which in hindsight, it's kind of a bad thing. You know, I was too fit for my own good, and had a bit too much talent as well. So I just kind of relied a lot on that and didn't really do any hard work. But I see it now. I see that I didn't work hard, and that's why I never went anywhere with it. And that kind of lights a fire now to make sure that I'm always working hard. So I did my PT course, and like, I really loved it. Like, I loved everything about it. Loved, like, being around people. And then I've always liked helping people. So I didn't realize how much I was going to love it until I started. And I had 2 girls that I trained at a park. And then I got a few pieces of equipment, started training at my house and my parents' house at the time. And then it just kind of evolved over the next 6 to 12 months. And then by the time I was 20, I started renting out a factory with a bloke that I've been playing footy with for about, 3 weeks. We got along heaps well. This bloke too, he could get along. His name's AJ Hatch.
Yeah.
He could honestly get along with anyone. He's just such a lovable bloke. Started the gym down. Started the Keep It Young down there. And everything went really, really well. Like, in a way, like, we had heaps of fun. We made every error you possibly could, but we didn't give a shit. Like, we're 2 young dudes. Like, we didn't have any sort of payment system or taking cash, and it would be like almost an honesty system. Like, did that bloke pay last week? And then I'm like, Hatch, did you get money off him? He's like, yeah, I think so. It was like that kind of thing. It was bad.
We got ripped off a few times then.
Yeah, 100. We were horrible, but we were young kids. We're having fun. We're still making enough money to get by. We're getting paid to play footy down the coast, so we didn't care. We were doing PTs. It just willy-nilly. And that was what it was like pretty much for the first 2 years. After the third year, we actually started to rip in a bit. But that was my growing up, and it's not like when you get to know the next 3 years after that, it's not your normal upbringing for where I ended up in rehab and drug addiction and stuff. Most people think, you got to come from a certain background to become a junkie, so to speak, but that wasn't the case for me. My parents were beautiful. My upbringing was great. The area I lived in is fantastic. So yeah, not your normal story, but that's my upbringing. That's what happened with me.
So when did it all start spiraling down? How did that all come about?
Okay, so 2014, I was 24. So it's the start of the year. I found I was going to be dad, and I just wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to be dad.
That wasn't with Chloe, eh? That was someone else?
No. That's my ex-partner. So yeah, her name was Em. We found out we're gonna have a kid, and I just really wasn't ready at all to be a dad, and that was that was where it all started to spiral out of control. And the reason why is because I knew that I didn't want to be in that relationship, but I couldn't talk about it. You know, I'm not that I couldn't talk about it, I wouldn't talk about it.
You didn't feel comfortable?
So no, I didn't feel comfortable talking about my feelings. I didn't feel like, I just didn't want to let anyone down. So it's kind of that footy mentality, suck it up, you know, move on. Like, you know, get toughen up, suck it up, move on. So I didn't say anything. And instead of talking, I started to drink heaps more. Whereas before that, I drank just like everyone else, go out, have a few beers. I touch rack and that, but nothing bad. No benders. I've pretty much never seen past 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
But after that, like they just started getting longer and longer and longer. So like it just started spiraling out of control. And it wasn't because I wasn't able to able to talk about my feelings. I wasn't able to talk about, you know, while I was struggling, I kept putting on this mask that everything was sweet. I couldn't wait to be dad, but really I was shit myself. Didn't want to be in a relationship, but I didn't have the reason why I didn't know, saying this because I didn't know why I didn't want to be in the relationship. It was just a gut instinct thing. So there's no, like, Em's a beautiful person. Like, she's got, there's nothing wrong with her. Whereas like, oh, she drove me to this person. No, this is all my decision, and I didn't understand. It was a gut instinct thing that I didn't want to be with her, but I didn't have the balls to tell her or speak to anyone else about it. So I just went about my life, and these benders started getting bigger and bigger, and then bang, it really hit a big spiral downhill, and the benders got bigger when my mate passed away. So he'd been training with me for a while, and like we'd been on a few benders together over a few weeks before that. Then he went to Europe and he passed away, and I didn't know how to deal with it. Hadn't dealt with much adversity through my life, so other than when I fractured my skull, like I was talking about before. But this is the first death that just absolutely rocked me, and I didn't talk about it. I just kept drinking, going on more and more benders, and now they're starting to go from Friday to Saturday, Friday to Sunday. And yeah, it just became a big issue. And so badly so that I went for like 11 or 12 weeks. I was still playing footy. I don't even know how I was playing footy, but still playing footy in between all this and going on benders and stuff like that. And I went all the way through right up until Jet's birth. So I bended on Friday to Sunday, and then went to work on the Monday. And on the Monday night, obviously I was asleep and I was rattled. And at 11 o'clock at night, Em woke me up and she said, "Waters are just broken." I was like, shit. All right. We went to the hospital there from Monday to Tuesday Arvo until Jet was born. And then Jet was born. By the time he was born, like I held him for about, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And then I put him down and I fell asleep sitting upright because I was just that gone. It was from the weekend that I just was so tired. Like I should have been, enjoying that moment. It was my first kid. My first son, like a big moment, and it was more of like sweet, and put him down and I fell asleep. So you think that would wake me up and make me realize that I've got to pull my head in now. I'm a dad, but it didn't. Like for the next 6 or 7 weeks, I just kept partying harder and harder and harder. I think I went on 15 or 16 wetting the heads, every excuse that I could. I haven't seen that bloke. I've got to go wet the head with that guy. Yeah. So it just got out of control. And then, I was able to every now and then pull myself in the line, and I did. And I was at the back end of 2014. I pulled my head in, and then going into 2015, I stayed sober for 12 weeks. So from around November to March, I stayed sober, and my business started booming. Yeah. Personal training started booming. I was then able to break up with Em and kind of admit to that. I wasn't in love with her anymore, even though we just had a kid, and went through a bit of a rough patch on with business and stuff like that, because she was very much a part of the gym. But in terms of me personally, that was the first time I ever spoke to her and got through it. And then I started seeing Chloe at the start of the end of 2014 / the start of 2015. So I felt really good. And despite what a lot of people were saying about me, I didn't really care at the time. So it went 12 weeks, and I was stronger, faster. I was better at work. But because I had I had these problems of taking cocaine and drinking
Yeah.
every weekend. I then filled those of that void, and I always had a problem with gambling. Gambling always knew I had a problem from when I was 18. Must be the Asian in me. We're no good at the
Pokies
pokies.
or
Yeah, pokies, or
yeah.
pretty much. Like I'd punt on anything, but the thing that really got me was a pokey. So started gambling heaps more, and then I started taking prescription drugs. So I took away one thing, and I just
Yeah.
replaced it with
You
another thing.
substituted it with
So
another.
yeah, 100%. And then even overtraining as well. So because I was craving that high, and I'd get high from training, I'd get high from sitting in front of a poke machine. And then because I was so sore from training, I started taking prescription drugs, which was the honest thought process at the start. But then I got addicted to that high as well. And I'm an all or nothing kind of guy. So like by the end of like 12 weeks, I was taking stupid amount of prescription drugs. And I didn't realize at the time, but it was really affecting like my anxiety. I never had anxiety. I didn't even know what it was. Never suffered any sort of depression. I was always really happy. So I started getting like these downs, and I honestly was that dumb at the time. I didn't put two and two together, but just taking crazy amounts of prescription drugs. So high all day from training or playing pokies and working. So I was just go. Then at night to switch off, I was taking, couple Valiums, Zennies, Endones. Like I think I told on the Ice Project, there was a concoction that I came up with that I did a few times. There was like two Valiums on my way home from work, a Zenny and an Endone before dinner. I'd be eating dinner, my head warm, I must be hitting the plate. Have a shower, I'll be like holding myself up in the shower, then I take another two Valium Zenny and an Endone straight after. And these are bricks too, so crazy amounts. And I'd sit there and I'd try and fight, trying to stay awake for as long as I could. And then I'd wake up at like 4 when my alarm would be going off.
Lucky you didn't overdose, bro.
Honestly, I just had a really high tolerance for all drugs as well. So, which wasn't a good thing. And I had like this arrogance and ego that like I was 10 foot tall and bulletproof as well. Yeah. So when you're that age, you don't give a shit about your body. You're just like, oh yeah, I'm sweet. So I was doing that for 12 weeks, not doing all that. Like it progressively got worse. I was gambling heaps more because I was making more money, and I was staying off the drugs. So I was saving more money, which allowed me to gamble more. So, and then I played my first game of footy for the year, and I played really well, and I was pumped because I was like, yeah, this is going to be sixth season. And the next day, because I couldn't have a rest day, I was just kind of, I was always craving that high. I went and did sprints. I tore my hammy.
Shit.
And I knew it was bad because I tore my hammy like 3 or 4 times before that. And this one was bad because when I was running, it actually felt like someone slapped me on the back of the leg. And I was like, I kind of like stopped. And then I was like, oh no, I know what I've done here. And that's a bad one. And I knew it was going to be 8 to 12 weeks before I could get back into, like I knew before I even got in my car. And then all week I was just down on it. I stopped training that week. And the Friday night rolled around. And there's so many things. If you tear your hemmy, there's still so many things that you can be doing.
Yeah, I've done it before. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just went straight to the negative and was like, nah, can't do anything. And it got to the Friday night. I remember I was tossing up. Do I go out? I don't have to play footy on the weekend. I've got no responsibilities. I don't have to work tomorrow. I've done all my PTs. I haven't drank in 12 weeks. And I was having this battle in my mind. Do I, don't I? And I did. It was a nothing night. And even though I've been off the piss for 12 weeks and off the rack for 12 weeks, I ended up going out, having a few beers, bang, got on the rack. And it was like I never left. It was like those 12 weeks were irrelevant. I just went in and I went just as hard. I went from the Friday all the way to the Sunday Arvo, like no problems whatsoever. And obviously my body would have been rattled. Been training so hard for the last 12 weeks and then taking a copious amounts of prescription drugs. Like just one weekend, I was burning the candle on both ends of the stick. So the Monday when it came and I went to work and far out, I struggled that whole day. I got through it and then that night I went to sleep and I was on the next morning. I was on the 2 classes. I was on 4 classes, sorry, and I had 2 PTs as well. And I slept through all of them. I've never done that before. I never slept through. Like I always turned up to all my sessions whenever I had to be there. Even if I was hungover, it didn't matter. I'd always turn up, but I fully missed it. It was a Tuesday morning, fully missed them. And then I was like, shit. Went into work that Arvo and I remember I was just struggling. Like everyone could tell I was struggling. I was struggling that much that I canceled my PTs the next morning. I slept 16 hours on Tuesday night. I slept 16 hours. And that happened like a few times, like the two or 3 days in a row. I'm pretty sure on the Friday, I'm pretty sure it was a Friday, I went to the doctors and they go, you got chronic fatigue. And it makes sense. You know, I partied all weekend, plus I was training that hard. And then I was trying to jump straight back into work. And like I said, during that 12 weeks, I got my business absolutely booming.
Yeah.
So, again, instead of kind of focusing on the solutions and coming up with, focus on the solutions, focus on the problems. And I was negative and I started drinking more by myself. And this is where my problem took its second spiral, but this one was a lot more severe because I started taking drugs on my own, started just doing shit like that I wouldn't normally do, crossing a lot of moral boundaries. I became a victim of life where it was poor me, why am I Hemi? You know, like it was all negative, and no solutions. I just kept making more and more problems. So I did come up with one solution I thought was pretty good. I couldn't stay awake for that long. So I started taking rack by myself to stay awake. I don't know what for, but I started doing that, started having benders on my own. Like I'll be at home at my parents' house too, taking rack, getting in my car, driving, sitting in parks, fucking racking up in my car. And that went on for a couple months, and to add more fuel to an already inferno, I got told my NEM was going to pass away in 2 weeks. The sad thing was that she could have got an operation where she would have been fine, but she didn't want to. She was just, you know, she was single. She didn't have a partner anymore.
Yeah.
So she wanted to, you know, she wanted to pass away anyway. But I couldn't handle that. And again, same thing. Didn't have the ability to go speak to anyone, and the only way I dealt with things was to escape through drugs, gambling, and alcohol. So, but I'd already been on a 2-month bender pretty much. I dropped like 10 kilos. I was tired. I probably looked like a junkie. I was white as. It was in the middle of winter. But there's this really bad one where I was on a solo bender. And like I said, I had been given the notice. My nan had 2 weeks. I was really close to my nan too. And instead of like going and seeing her every single day, I went on like a 2-3 day bender on my own, completely solo, like just gambling and sitting and getting on rack by myself. Anyways, I decided I was going to go see her. When I was off my head, drove in there, got into St. George Hospital, parked in the car park, had a line in the car park, got in the escalators, went up, tried to see her, and as I've opened the door, thank God she was asleep. And it was like, when she was asleep, that's when the light bulb went off. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Panicked. Got out of there, but the next day I sobered up, obviously, and went and seen her. But you think those, like, crossing those kind of moral boundaries would make you pull up, but they didn't. Like, in patches, I'd go in and out. So for another probably 2 or 3 more weeks, I just kept going on that kind of same trajectory straight down. And then I was like, all right, I've got to lift myself back up. And then boom, I did the same thing. I was able to stay off the drink and cocaine and not gamble for X amount of time, but I could never consistently put it together. So that was coming towards the back end of 2015. And you can imagine with those things that I'm doing, my reputation was shot. The business was going straight downhill. My business partner goes, he said he's going to go down the coast and start up his own business with his I think he's his wife now, but his partner at the time. And then I was like, yeah, sweet. The factory lease ran out, and they said they weren't going to renew our lease because we had a cheap rate. They wanted to put it up, and I was like, no, it's not worth that. So I went to start looking at new factories. Our membership got pumped. It was like a third of what it was at our highest time. But I was, at the same time, I was still in denial. Like, I was still like, nah, we're sweet. I'm sweet. I've just got to kick out of this and I'll be fine, which is kind of a good thing. I was always optimistic. Like, even in my worst times, I always thought, nah, I'll be sweet. But got to the end of 2015. All right. So I took my two trainers that were with me at the time. I took them to this factory. I'm like, oh, I want to jump in this factory. You boys keen? And like, yeah, 100%. We're keen. As it was a little bit bigger. And I had like an extra office. I was like, yeah, sweet. It was going to be more money. And like, luckily I didn't get it. But so that's that, right? That was just before Christmas Eve, where I had to get all my stuff out of the gym, right? So Christmas Eve, right? I get on the rack. I've got to move out Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Genius, right? Get on the rack by myself. Rock up. I only have one mate that comes and helps me. Which should have been a red. Like that should, like, now if I asked anyone to come help me, I'd get 20, 30 people there straight away. But
Yeah.
I had one mate that said, yeah, I'll come help you. And then I had my girlfriend at the time, and then my ex-girlfriend come and help on that day. So that's all we had. Rock up in the morning, off my head, forget the keys. We have to break into the factory. I'm off my head. I tell everyone I'm off my head. So I'm honest with them, which is like the only good part of the day. But the whole day, I stayed racking up, moving all my stuff out of this factory and then putting it in my now fiance's, her garage at her factory as well. So I did that. Anyways, I was like, it was pretty bad. Went all the way through Christmas morning, like 5 a.m. So from Christmas Eve all the way through Christmas Eve, moved the whole gym, and then on Christmas Day, pulled up at 5 a.m. just before I had family coming over that day as well. Slept like 9, wake up. I walked out 8, walked back into bed. That's all I did Christmas Day. So again, crossing moral boundaries, just didn't give a shit anymore.
Yeah. So
2016 starts. I don't know why, but Chloe left me. It's fucking bullshit. Nah, she left me. It's pretty smart of her. She left me. She actually went straight to Bali as well for mum and sister. The lease, I went down the coast, and I was like, when I get back, I'll sign that lease. But at that stage, right, no girlfriend, technically no business, no factory.
Yeah.
Soon to find out, no clients, which is a pretty cool story. And then what makes this whole, the worst of them all, I got a mate here, I was telling you about before, Grayson.
Yeah.
I put on a bit of weight, and we went and we got home from this. We went down the coast together. We came back, and I lost a 100-meter race to him. The worst part of the whole, everything that happened before, that was the worst moment. Yeah. That should have kicked me out. I lost a 100-meter race to him. And then, so then I went and called that real estate. I said, hey, bro, I'm ready to come sign that lease. He's like, the lease has already been taken. I said, I remember just going, yeah, sweet. And like just copping it. Didn't think too much of it. But the 2 trainers that I took there, they were the ones that took the lease. They I didn't know, but for the last 2 months, they've been telling everyone at Keep It Young that they were going to start their own thing. And they should have come in there. They started a Facebook group and everything behind my back.
Oh, shit.
But I handled it. Actually, I look back now, I don't know why. Actually, no, I probably do. I knew deep down that I was in the wrong. I knew that everything I'd done over the last 6 to 7 months was, even 2 years, like going in and out, even though I had those high peaks, like I was doing the wrong thing. So I copped it on the chin. I was like, all right, that is what it is. And I was like, I'll go find my own little factory and I'll start real small. I'll just do PTs and just do small groups. So I went and looked at a few factories, and I found this one. I still don't know why I agreed to go into this place. So at the front of the factory complex was a seafood joint, and it stunk. It proper stunk. Like it made you gag when you walk past it. And you had to go past it, obviously. You go past it. And then at the back of it was a trailer company. It was just dirty, looked like mechanics and just crap everywhere. And then up the stairs, between the 2 factories, there was a set of stairs, and up the top there was a little office space, and it was about 120 squares, which is tiny. But the only thing that I liked about it was all brand new, like just been on new gyprock, they're putting new bath in. It was all nice. So that was the only thing that was good about it. But anyways, so I was like, sweet, $400 a week rent. I'm like, no worries. It was like similar to what I was paying. It's cheaper than what I was paying before. I'm like, I can handle that on my own. I'll start it up. So I started doing my own PTs, and I couldn't beg people to come train. Like, honestly, I was begging people to come train with me for free, and they still weren't coming. And it got to March, and I stayed sober-ish, and we went on an OzTag tournament. The last 2 OzTag tournaments in a row, I let the boys down bad. I'm a massive boys too. Like I live for the boys. I'm all about, like, that kind of camaraderie and teamwork. And on the Cronulla one, we went out the Friday night. This is nationals, and we went out the Friday night. I got bent, went all the way through, played half a game, went home. Let the boys down on Saturday and play. We fell out of the quarterfinals the next day, and to be honest, that's a big like I put a lot of leadership. I think I'm a bit of a leader, so I did that, and then we lost straight away. 2 weeks later, I was playing for Australia, and we went up to Sunshine Coast, played New Zealand. Same thing, got banned, but this time didn't even turn up to a game. Got on a plane, flew straight home, didn't come back, just left. So then we go to State Cup. This is the next year, 2016, and I'm just praying that I get through it. I'm just praying that I get through the Friday night. We drink on the Friday night, and I actually, just before everyone was like going to bed, I went in and had a line. You think I would have learned from 2 in a row,
Yeah, you
right?
couldn't help yourself.
Couldn't help myself. Had a line. I'm lucky that the rack was rubbish.
Yeah.
Like it was that bad. I didn't even feel it. I was like, oh, that's shit. Fell asleep. Thank God. Got through that weekend, but we went on a massive bender that Sunday. And I went through the Sunday on the bus trip, kept going all the way through till I got home. And it was the same thing. I just went straight back into old habits, like 2 or 3 weekends in a row bending. I couldn't even land more than 2 or 3 PTs this time. So I was only working like a few hours a week.
Yeah.
I think one of my cousins was maybe 3 other girls. So maybe 4 clients in total. And yeah, so went on a bender. Then on a Tuesday afternoon, I got an email. So from the previous business, Keep It Young, we had a guy who invested in our business. He put in X amount of money, and then we had a falling out, and then he wanted to be reimbursed all his money. We told him to get fucked, and then we ended up going to, like, technically he sued us. So we ended up having to pay back X amount of money, and we've been paying it all the way back. But I thought because I changed, it was no longer a partnership. It was now just, I was trading as Keep It Young Fitness Club or something like that, changed the name, and it was trading under Travis Young as a sole trader. I thought that was null and void, didn't have to pay it anymore, but I was wrong. It didn't matter what happened to either of our businesses. We were personally liable because we're under a partnership.
Yep.
So I got an email that said you owe $8,000, and if AJ couldn't pay it, I had to pay it. And if I couldn't pay it, AJ had to pay it. But either way, we had to come up with the money. And I was like, oh man, I can't even make my rent, which is $500 a week, let alone $8,000.
Yeah.
And again, instead of trying to sit on the solution, I just try and solve with another problem. So I called my mate Gray, and we went and had a few beers at the Leagues Club, and we're having a slap. And I think I was going all right too. I think we were slapping and getting up a bit. 2 or 3 beers in, I'm like, great, let's get him the bags. He's like, no, bro, it's fucking Tuesday. Like, I was just coming in to hang out with you just to see if you're all right. I'm like, I'm getting on the bags. So I remember I drove home, got bags, started gambling, and then this was the start of the bender of all benders. And I gambled. I can't remember how much, but I was up a few grand. I was up a bit because otherwise I wouldn't have gone home. I'd stay there until I was either bankrupt or I must have been up a fair bit. I went home in the morning, go like 4:30, 5:30, woke up, right, put on my Keep It Young stuff that I had, pretended to go to work because I was living with my parents, so pretended to go to work, and I racked up all day by myself. The weird thing is I even put up a post on the it's still on. If you go on Keep It Young's Instagram, it's still there.
Yeah.
I put up a post and it's of me doing a chin up, and it was from a photo from ages ago saying back and buy session this afternoon. Messaging me if you can. I don't know why. I don't know why I did it. But anyways, I knew no one was going to message me. No one did message me. But a mate that had been training with me before turned up, and I was off my head. I had an iPad sitting in the office, and I had all lines in it and everything. And I was like, oh, I kind of just bubbled my way around, like talking to the gym. I said, bro, I'm so sorry, but no, you didn't message me, so I didn't know you were coming. And like, I don't know if you could tell I was off my head. I said, oh, my mate's actually coming to pick me up now. We're about to go for a run. And he was like, oh, okay, and just left. Anyway, so he left. My parents went away. It was because it was coming up to Easter. It was almost Good Friday. This was the Wednesday. They went away, so I knew, all right, sweet, I can go home and just drink and get on the Mac by myself at home. So I remember getting a 6-pack of beer, 6-pack of Coronas, going home, just sinking piss by myself, and I did that so I drank there till about 12 o'clock that night. And then a mate called me, and I ended up going into Randwick at one stage. I actually went past Renault's house. Yeah, he's playing Fortnite with Granny right now, and like on their fucking headsets, carrying like 2-year-old kids. But I went past his because I snapped my ATM when I was at Randwick, and he was the only person I knew that lived there. And I only knew Renault for a little bit at this stage too. Went past, he's grabbed money off him, said, I need to get petrol on the way home. Oh, that's so embarrassing. And then I kept bending all the next day. And I went for another about 1.5 days. So I went from the Tuesday to the Thursday night, like 2 o'clock, technically Friday morning. Biggest bend I've ever been in. Went through 17 bags. I spent everything that was in my bank account. Plus I was already, like I said, I was up. So it would have been anywhere from like 6 to 8K. And by the time it finished, I went to sleep, woke up at 2 p.m. on the Friday. It was Good Friday.
Yeah.
It was somewhere at time around in the Arvo. My mum was waking me up. My mum was meant to be down the coast, and I was rattled as it is. You think 4 days. And she wakes me up. She's like, what's going on? And I'm like, nothing. Like, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. And she goes, what's going on? What's the problem? Anyway, she goes, I go to her. I've got a gambling problem. She goes, bullshit. And I was rattled because my mum's like this little Chinese lady. She never swears. And I'm like, what? Pardon? Like, and I'm just thinking about 4 days bend. I fucking can't think. I was like, is that even with my mum? Anyways, I just brushed past that. I put my clothes on. And I go, I'm fucking going. I was just off it. You could tell from that the last 4 days, I didn't give a fuck anymore. Like, I didn't care whether I lived, died, I overdosed. I took 17 bags. Like, and I remember there was like even one bag. I did half the bag in one line. Like, I just didn't give a fuck. And I got in my car and I was going to go commit suicide, and then I was like crying and stuff, and I blocked everyone on my phone. And I got that 6-pack, that carton, that case of the 6-pack for the Corona, and I wrote on the inside of it, and I wrote a goodbye letter to my son Jet.
Do you remember what you wrote on it?
Yeah, vaguely, but it was along the lines of, sorry, I couldn't be the dad that you deserve. I hope that you have a better upbringing than what you've had in your first year. I think it was just over a year, a year and 6 months. And it was along the lines of, I hope that I'm sorry that I couldn't be the dad that you deserve. And I'm sorry that I'm not going to be around, so on and so forth. And it rattles me every time I think about that, like the fact that I could like leave my son to be fatherless. Yeah, it kills me. Chokes me up every time I talk about it. So I did that, and like I was at Cornell, and there's like cliffs out there. I was sitting in my car, and my phone rang. It was Chloe, and obviously I told her she broke up with me, probably because I got a bit fat, lost the running race to Gray. I don't know why else she would have broken up with me.
No.
And then so she called me, got onto me, and she like literally talked me off the edge. And then she goes, "Oh, I'll come meet you later." So I went and stayed at hers that night, and then the next morning I went back to my parents' house, and I hadn't spoke to my parents. I didn't speak to anyone because everyone was blocked. But Gray spoke to my mum and told her what was going on. He told her that, I had a gambling problem, I had a cocaine problem. And I was so grateful because I didn't have the balls to admit my problems at that stage. And I walked in and my mum goes, "Do you want to go to rehab?" And I just, without even hesitating, I go, "Yeah, I'll go." And she goes, "All right, sweet. You're going to Thailand in 4 days." I was like, whoa. And I was like sick with anxiety for the next 4 days. But I knew I had to do something about it. Like it got to the point, like you can't get any lower than wanting to commit suicide. So I jumped on a plane, went to Thailand. You get off at Phuket, you then get on another plane and go to Chiang Mai. Chiang Mai is a shithole.
Yeah.
So it's like the slums. Have you been to Bali?
Yeah.
It's kind of like Bali, but like shitter. Like it's just proper shit. So you drive along and it's like a third world country as you're going, and then we turn off this road and go onto a dirt track. I'm like, what are we doing? And then off the dirt track, we get onto another dirt track that's proper, like it's like this. We're going up a mountain. I'm like, where are we going? And we got there on the Friday, and I introduced myself to some of the guys that were there, and it was a bit weird. It was a bit surreal. Like everyone there just seemed like normal people. They're all young, so they're all 25 and under, except for one bloke. And he turned out to be a Parramatta supporter. And I grew up with Brad Takarini, so I just dropped that name straight away. So I had a friend. I'm like, "Oh, my mate's Taka," and he's like, "Oh, sweet." Like, and then we spoke about footy. So that was the first guy I met. And the next day, we had our first session. First thing that we did as a team, as a group, and you do it every Saturday. It was training. Perfect, right? So like when you get thrown into a group, you kind of want to earn their respect in some way. In the best way for me, I could always train. Even through all my worst times, I was still able to train. So we did this thing and it went for 2 hours and it was like 3 different parts. And I was the only one that completed all 3 parts and did it comfortably. I did it comfortably just because that's what I did all the time. Even at the worst stages, I was always able to train. So I got like the respect from everyone in that. Like I kind of asserted my authority, so to speak. So that I straight away felt comfortable amongst the group. And then on the Monday, we started our first like actual part of rehab. And we sat down in the focus group, right? So, you see in movies where they all sit around in the circle.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Travis. I'm 27. I'm a drug addict. Like normally that's what they say in the movies. It's pretty much what they say. It's exactly the same format. But you always would say how you feel. So it's, hey, I'm Travis. And this is what I say. I think I said every single day. Hey, I'm Travis. I'm feeling nervous. I'm anxious, but I'm excited. Nervous because I felt uncomfortable. Anxious because you're just thrown in this weird dynamics where you're talking to 16, 17 different people from all around the world. And I was always said I was excited. So part of me is I'm always excited. I'm always optimistic. Like I said, even at the worst times, I still thought I could bring it back. And so this guy, as soon as that part done, this guy starts talking. He's next to me, and he's this young fella. He's 2, maybe 3 years younger than me, from London. He's telling this story, and I'm sitting there going, "Wow, this is like a movie." Like a lot of these kids that are there, they come from a lot of money. They got a lot of money and like next level money, like 2 or 3 houses in different countries and shit like that money. He's talking, and I'm like going, "Whoa, that's a hell of a story." So he finishes talking, and he was reading it out. He finishes his story, and everyone kind of sits there, and someone goes, "Oh, does anyone else want to take the room?" And I went, "Fuck it, I'll tell my story." So I told my story. I reckon within a minute, I was in full tears. I'm telling these people stories about myself that I haven't even spoken out loud to anyone ever. And I blurted it out. I spoke for about 15, 20 minutes straight, and tears.
All those feelings hit you at once.
All of them, man. And like I said, over the years, I didn't have the ability to talk about all these problems, like why I was doing this and everything I said. And when I finished talking, everyone clapped. And I was like, why did they clap? They didn't clap this far. And I was crying. At the time, I was still rattled. But like, it sounds a little bit cliche, a bit cheesy, but I felt cured right then and there because I got all this shit out. I finally spoke about it. I felt like the weight of the world was off my shoulders, even though technically I hadn't done anything because I spoke to 16 people there that none of that affected their life. Whereas I need to speak to the people back home that I'd affected. But at the time, boom, weight off my shoulders. So I went to the counselor. You have a one-on-one counselor as well, and you meet just twice a week. So my first one was at Harvard, and I said, "Oh, why did everyone clap me when I finished talking?" He said, "Well, because you know how that guy told his story?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, it took him 3 weeks to tell that story, and he got challenged every week to tell it, but today was the first time. You did it without even being asked." And I was like, "Oh, okay." He goes, "Well, that's set this tone now. I'm going to challenge you every single week." And everything he asked me from then on, I made sure that I did it every single week. So like I like goals. I like that. Now I look back and I understand why, because how much I like goals, like ticking shit off. But I'll be honest, the first 3 days of what do you call it? Focus group and process group. I was like, I don't need to be here. Right. I'm sitting around. I've never touched any other drug except for cocaine. I smoked weed like 2 or 3 times, fucking hated it. And these guys are ice junkies, heroin junkies. 90% of them are ice junkies, and a lot of them are from Melbourne. And I was like, I don't need to be here. Like that was my honest thoughts. And I don't know if you'd say I was in denial, because I was just like, I don't need to be here. This isn't. I'm not a junkie like these guys. But this guy came and spoke. So every Wednesday they'd have someone come and tell their story. That was from, I think it's called an outpatients, where you're not in rehab, but you go stay at a drug house, or a rehab house. Sorry, where you're a sober house. Sorry, sober house. That's what it's called, a sober house. Anyways, he comes and tells his story, and it spanned over 12 years. And he's like, he started his story, And it's like, all I did was I smoked weed a couple of times. I started taking pills. I never took pills. That was the only thing I couldn't relate to. But then I started taking cocaine. And then I started taking prescription drugs, blah, blah, blah. Ended up in rehab. And then I was 2 years sober. And then I ended up back in rehab because I then started taking more pills. Then I started taking prescription drugs. And then I started injecting in heroin. And then ice or whatever it was. 2 years sober. Did it again, but this time on ice and whatnot, and I realized that was when I realized I might not be a drug addict like these guys, but in time, if I continue doing what I'm doing, I'm staring down the barrel of this guy's life.
Every cycle was getting worse.
Yes, exactly right, and that's when I made the decision. I was like, this will be the first and the last time I ever come to rehab. Right then and there, when I heard that story, I was like, okay. Yep, you're in the right place. You need to be here because that story there is exactly the same as how you started, and that's where you'll end up. And it's sad. Like, he was sober 6 to 7 months then after 12, like on and off for 12 years. You're more years sober than not over 12 years. But he's back. He ended up being back in rehab last year as well. Like, out of all the people I've met through rehab, I'm the only one that's still sober.
Really?
That was over there. Actually, no, there's one other guy, but he was already sober before me. Everyone that I met from my journey onwards, no. But this guy, there's only one other guy I follow. He does like Ironmans and shit now. He's an animal. But so I did all my challenges, right? Like, one of them was I had to read out letters from my mum, my dad, and these are 3 different challenges. I read out a letter from my mum, I read a letter out from my dad, and I read a letter out from my ex, who's my son's mum, of all the things that I did to him. And I had to read it out in front of everyone without reading it myself. And honestly, that was the hardest part because you had to face.
Yeah.
You can handle the pain you cause yourself, but you put up a guard of what you actually cause for everyone else. Because as a drug addict, you only think that you're hurting yourself. You don't think you're hurting anyone else. You tunnel vision. And to hear that, especially my mum, I'm a massive mummy's boy. Love my mum, cute little Asian girl. She's cute as a buck. So bang. Read all this shit and it killed me, but I was just honest from the start. I'd always talk, always get on my. If there was a focus group where you had to talk about a time when you crossed the moral boundary, I was the first one to put my hand up, and you do like different processes to go through it. So, anyways, went through that. I'm coming towards the end, and all of us that were there were sent there for a 28-day program. Now, most of the time when you got 1-2 weeks in, they say you need to stay another 2 weeks, or you need to stay another month, you need to stay another 3 months. Anyways, and the council was talking about this in the process group. And he goes, well, the reason why is because there's only 2% of you that will stay sober for 6 months, and that's it. And everyone was bitching and moaning, going, this is bullshit. I don't want to stay here any longer. I thought I was going to be cured, because it all came from this guy that wanted to have 6 or 7 beers a night and be able to do that and then go home. And how we're taught, or what we're taught, is that our brain is a cucumber, and then once we're an addict, it becomes a pickle, and you can't turn a pickle back into a cucumber, right? So once you're an addict, you're an addict. It is what it is. And that's how I copped it pretty. I remember the counselor said it to me. I was like, he goes, oh, how do you feel about it? I was like, oh, it is what it is. Like, that's the problem. Here's a solution. Sweet. That's if I want to live a happy, healthy life, I just don't take drugs and drink anymore. But anyways, everyone's kicking up a storm in this thing. And like I said, I was heaps vocal. No one, and the counsel was directly across from me, and he goes, Trav, like, why aren't you talking? I was sitting there. I was like, normally, I'll be leaning into the conversation, but I was like sitting back, staying out of it. He goes, why aren't you saying anything? I said, oh, because I'm going to be the 2%. And the whole room went quiet. Everything's went quiet. And then everyone's like, I said it heaps arrogant. I meant it. I go, this will be the first and this will be the last time I ever come to rehab. That's it. I go, there's no other decision. I'm staying sober. That's it. And from that, the whole room went quiet. I had one more challenge that I had to do. I had to read out my goodbye letter to addiction to a public AA meeting, or NA meeting, a drugs, narcotics anonymous meeting. And this is how when you think of a junkie, you think of the guy scratching tattoos and shit all over his neck. You see the girl got in my actual rehab, none of that. Everyone looked normal, just like normal people. But in these ones, fuck, there was that dude that you looked at. If you felt like you looked at him the wrong way, he'd stab you. There's a guy scratching in the corner. all walks of life in Thailand. Anyways, so I was intimidating as fuck, you know. But I got up and I did this letter. Bang, got a round of applause for that as well. Came home, and the next 3 months, like, fuck, they were hard, eh? Like, you think once you do the 28-day program, you come back, everything's gonna be not the fact they were hard to stay off the drugs or alcohol or anything like that. I've never had a problem with that, but the fact that I had so many issues that I caused, I was just, before I went away, it was like problem.
Yeah.
Create another problem, and I had to deal with all these problems and meet them head on. And I had to say sorry to a lot of people. And you know, when you're saying sorry to these people, they don't believe you because of your past, and rightfully so. So I had to prove them wrong with my actions. So for the next 3 months, and that's where it really kicks. After that 3 months, I completed my outpatient program where I had to drive over to Edgecliff and do two sessions a week. One was a group session, one was a counseling session. Completed that, and I look back on the 3 months and I realized it wasn't that I achieved. I actually didn't achieve anything. I was only still PTing like 4 or 5 people. I think I had to get my mum to still pay the rent for the gym, and I hadn't really achieved anything. But what I had achieved was that I didn't make any problems.
Yeah.
I didn't create any more problems. So that was a really big moment. And that was like, all right, now it's time to make good on, you know, pay back your parents, and start getting your business back into order. And I had a really bad reputation, as you can imagine. But I was like, all right, I'm going to just put my head down, ass up, and I'm going to start an 8-week challenge and see how I go. Contacted 2 of the boys I was playing footy with at the time, and I was like, all right, you boys want to jump in with me and be PTs, or I'll be able to pay you this if we get, you know, 20, 30 clients. They're like, yeah, sweet, we're in. Hoping to get 30 clients. That was like the pinnacle, 30 clients. And I come from Reborn come from Keep It Young, where our pinnacle was 110 clients. Yeah. I was like, all right, if we get 30, that'd be doozy. Anyways, we kick off this challenge and we get 60. And I'm like, holy shit, like that's amazing. Like, I didn't think that was going to happen. It was just because I just put my head down, ass up. I was working really hard. I still had a bad reputation. No one knew that what I was going through. No one knew that I was sober. Sorry, I did put out a thing when I first landed. I put out a thing saying I was gonna be a year sober, and like I look back now, and it was to kind of keep myself accountable, but it put the boundaries out. So like, if anyone want to have beers with me, like I said, I'm going a year sober. That's what I said. I'm going a year sober. Anyway, so other than that, I hadn't really spoken to anyone. So we did that, smashed out of the park, won a grand final. It was all going peaches, which is great. And then I was like, oh, I want to do another challenge. Like, I only had like 2 or 3 weeks break, and then launched another challenge. I was like, if I get 60 on these, fuck, like I'll be pumped. We got 80. So within those, like, for 6 months from landing from rehab into the end of the year, I'd gone from, like, you know, 3 or 4 clients to 110 clients, which is the peak of Keep It Young. And then I ended up having, like, getting too big for the little factory that I was in and had to find a new factory. So that was at the start of 2017. Then we went into my new factory. Bang, went from 110 to 200 clients within a month. And then it's skyrocketed ever since that. Now we're at about 300.
How'd you handle all that growth?
Trial and error. Like, it wasn't, as the people think that success looks like this, man. It doesn't. It's like this and down and up. Like, man, I had to learn a lot of personal things. Like, I was still going through, like, after a year sober, you're not perfect. I was still very insecure. Still had problems. Like, when I found out I was having ACE again, like, I didn't handle that well at the start. But it comes with experience. You just start to learn to handle things in adversity. And I didn't know how to deal with staff. I went from two blokes that were footy boys where you just get it. Footy blokes, you just get it. And then I had, a couple girls, and I had a guy that was hard to work with. And then, like, it just kept mixing and changing. But I just kept plotting along. And I think it's a strength of mine where in the times of adversity, I just kind of keep going. Like, since rehab, I've just been able to just work through them. And I think that's because of my hard times. And then if I was able to do these things by myself, it's a lot easier to do these things now when, like, there's, everyone around you and you're in a positive environment, whereas I was in the worst environment in my own head possible. So now things just seem to be a whole lot easier. from 2000 to 2020, it's just been like that constant, up, down, but constantly, like, it's a slow
Yeah.
gradual. We've been going up. I have my little boy Ace. He's like an animal, man. He's like, it's like looking in a mirror. Like, he's exactly how I am. Like, he gets up at 4. Like, this morning, he was up at 4 a.m. playing with his cars and stuff like that. When I was getting up, I was like, mate, you got to go to bed. Like,
Is he the one that
but
leaves
he
his
can.
footy boots on for like days on end?
Yeah. He doesn't even play footy yet. He's only 2. He's like turning 3 in a month. So, from 2017 to 2020, which is like this year, I continue going up. And then what, like, I'm probably most proud of is how we've handled COVID-19, and the isolation, being shut down, and that whole situation where when people needed us the most, we've stood up. Like, I remember before we got shut down, it was about 3 weeks before, I sat down one day. I got like a weird gut instinct. Like, I kind of can, if I get a gut instinct, like, I really back it. So I was like, all right, we're going to go into lockdown soon. So I sat down and I wrote 3 different scenarios down. If we went into lockdown, what we would do. One was to go just outdoors. One was to go outdoors and online. And then option C was to just go online. So I had all these plans and what we're going to do, the business structure. It was literally like writing 3 different businesses and how we'd get through it. And I wrote it all down, and then, like, it kind of didn't look like it was going to happen, and bang, it happened out of nowhere. I think we got announced on, I want to say it was a Sunday night, something happened on a Saturday. We put out a post. They're saying that they were limiting our numbers, I think it was. By Sunday night, they said that we're shutting by Tuesday. By Sunday day, they said we're shutting by Tuesday.
Yeah.
And Sunday night, they go, no, you shut by Monday, 12 p.m.
Oh,
And I go to bed heaps early. And it happened at 8:30 at night. So I woke up in the morning to a message from my missus saying, hey, babe, you're asleep, but you actually shut at 12 p.m. today. Anyway, so we finished off our last few sessions, and we had a meeting. I put it to the team. I said, all right, number one priority is that you guys all have a job. That's the number one priority. Through this time, I'm going to make sure that you guys all have a job. You all get paid. Now we've just got to figure out what value we're going to provide for our clients so that I can do that. And I said, these are my 3 options. Give me your feedback. I already knew what I wanted to do, but I wanted everyone to kind of have their say, and then I was going to give them my answer. So anyway, there's a few of the boys that were like, let's go outdoor. A few of them, I was like, let's do a bit of both. And then 2 of the boys were like, no, let's just go online. I said, all right, this is my decision. We're going nothing but online. The reason being is we're doing classes. We're getting 67 many people to a class. We're doing 8 classes a day. If we limit our timetable to 2 or 3 a day and then do an outdoor, we're going to have 80 to 100 people turn up to a session. We're going to be a part of the problem. You know what I mean? And at that time, they were trying to limit the masses. And anyway, so I put out a video. And I said that. I said, look, we're going online. And this time, no one had been online. Like no one knew what it was going to be like. I thought it would be shit, to be honest. So, like, we're going online. These are the reasons why. Bang, bang, bang. Threw everything down that I just said then. And then from that time till like 8 o'clock that night when I was about to go to sleep, it was just email after email, suspension. Wait till this is all over. The next morning, obviously, didn't have to do any classes. I went for a run with my manager, and he's like, oh, Trav, we've got this person cancer, this person suspending, blah, 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 blah. And I go, Paddy, shut up. I don't care. He's like, no, you need to know the numbers. I said, yeah, I get it, but not right now. Okay, so all we need to do, I said, I don't care about anything else. No numbers, they're all irrelevant. All we've got to do is be positive. If we be positive right now, when people need it the most, and we inspire people to get through these tough times, the numbers will sort themselves out. So I go, when we finish this run, we're on the run. We're running while we're doing this. I remember where we were, and I'm giving him this speech. Oh my, how I was going. When on the runner's high, you think you think a lot clearer. I'm like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get back and put up in these stories. We're going live tonight. We're going to get the jump on everyone else before they go online. We're going online. We're going to go all week, and then we'll launch our membership on the Friday. So I'm like, we're going to get bang, bang, bang and done so that will be out before everyone else. But I go, our number one priority is to always be positive, and that through this time, we're going to make sure that we inspire people. And I was like, and then we put out the post, and I was like, every single day you're going to see me training. I'm going to be getting up early, and I'll train every single day. And I want you guys to come with me. And I want you to use this moment not to just survive. I want you to thrive through COVID-19 and get through it, and so you can shine through times of adversity. We're going live tonight, 5:30 p.m. I think it was. So anyways, we put up these things and we were like hoping, we didn't know what would have been a good number. We got 70 on our first Zoom session and I fucking loved it. It was hectic. We always got to train people, but we never got to train with them at the same time. And they never get to see us train. We train with our mates, but that was it. And we trained hard. So they got to see me train, Paddy train, and all of us go. And we did really well. Then we go, all right, guys, for the rest of the week, this is the link. It's free for everyone. Anyone that wants to do it, jump on board. And we continue that positive, kind of vibe. And we threw out their Reborn 6 together, and that we were going to be the inspiration. Like we'll take that on, and we'll do that. So we did that, and then on the Friday we launched our membership, and we were hoping if we got over 150, and we're coming from 350, we're like if we get 150, we'll be fine. And I said to my staff, what we'll do with this online is I'll get you to call, I'll give you a team, and you got to call them, and I'll pay you for the phone calls. So then 1, they get to do the Zoom sessions, but 2, they get paid to make phone calls, so they're still making a bit of an income as well, because they're all other than one of them, they're all subcontractors. So did that, bang, we ended up getting over 220, I think it was, in the first week, and then went to 250. And by the time we went back into the gym, we were just under 300 online. So we did really well, and that was because we were so passionate about what we were doing, and we were generally like every person that joined that online, they got a phone call every week about what they wanted to achieve that week, and it was more about like a how you doing kind of conversation. No one was talking to each other, so no one was seeing each other in person. So we did that, and now because of that time, we're in a good position where we got a lot of our clientele back, and we got a lot of new people back in, and then we got Zoom still going at the moment. So in that last 4 years, lots happened. Had another kid, bought a house, gone through a fucking crisis, a world pandemic, and came out the back of it. So that's where I'm at the moment.
Yeah, life sounds good for you, man. Like, you jumped online heaps quick.
Yeah.
People took their time, but you just took action and jumped on, and it's worked
straight
out
away.
well.
If you look back on the day we got shut, right? It was a Monday. I want to say 24th. I don't know. I can't remember it was March. I don't know. Whenever it was, you look at the day, you look at the Monday night, I put out a post and I was down in the dumps, right? I was getting this guy, one of my clients has messaged me, and I was being negative. And then I went, like, you got to switch that. So I wrote a post, and if you read the post, I'm talking about being positive and, get coming through the other side. I'm not talking to anyone else. I'm talking to me. And what I've always found for myself, if I always put shit out on social media, it keeps me accountable. Because if I say I'm going to do something, I've got to do it.
Yeah.
That's a big thing for me. So you go back and read that post, and that was to me, and I was like, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to stick to. And I just stuck to that the whole way through. And because we got like I said, we got the jump on everyone. We were live by the Tuesday. And that Tuesday morning, when all the other gyms went outdoor, right? Yeah. A lot of gyms, 2 gyms around my area got fined $5,000 each for not social distancing. So it was a good call. Yeah. And they only had 25 or 30 people. Like, there's no doubt we would have like 80 to 100 people there, because we would have combined the 515 and the 615, and we'll get anywhere from 50 to 60 in both of those classes at the time. So yeah, I think that's what I'm probably the most proud of, like handling those times. And it sounds strange, but because of my times through adversity on my own during COVID, I felt comfortable because I was used to being I'd been in that position before, but before I was in that own like kind of isolation in my own head. But this time, everyone else literally the whole world was going through the same thing at the same time. So I felt comfortable in that times of adversity because of my times.
Yeah.
That tough times that I had before.
Where are you looking to take Reborn? Like, do you have big goals for it?
It's funny. Someone messaged me that I put up a post yesterday saying, what do people want me to talk about in my next podcast? And that was one of them. Where do I see Reborn going? So the goal is I'm trying to get a bigger factory at the moment around my area, and I want to put one of my brother-in-law. He's got a couple cafes. I want to put a cafe in there and make that like the Reborn HQ, like a big facility, like 1,000 square meters, big facility. Have everything in there: PT studio, boxing studio, big group training facility, and then a cafe as well. Once that's done, and then I want to try and expand and have a few franchises around. So at the moment, it's about creating systems and the processes that people can imply whether it's with me or without me, which is
Yeah.
hard at the moment because a lot of my business is based off my personality, a lot of energy, loud, enthusiastic positivity. But you just got to find the right people to put them in the right places and hopefully have the systems to be able to expand in that way.
Take me back to when you got out of rehab. How did you win Chloe back?
Oh, hey, it's funny. It came up today. So, far out, took a bit, but I just had to do the right thing. But the funny thing is, so today it came up on my 4 years ago or whatever. You know, there's memories on your Facebook.
Yeah.
Her favorite food, dessert is apple crumble. I hate apple crumble. Shit. But it came up on my memories, and it's like she took a photo of me. I'm holding I made an apple crumble and I cooked her dinner and stuff like that. So just a lot of soppy shit like that. I had to cook at dinner, do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it took a bit. Like we didn't get back together for a few months, but I just had to do the right thing, really, and cook a lot of desserts. The way to her heart sees through her stomach, that's for sure.
And
She's a little girl, but she can eat.
You're a mad cook as well. You're always cooking up cool dishes.
Always loved to cook. So when I was younger, my mum used to always cook for me when I used to come home from work, from school, when she's got the shit to it. So she just started teaching me how to cook. And there's a couple of things that could slow me down when I was younger. One, when I was really young, the only thing you'd stop me from like running around the house and causing mayhem was I draw. And when I got older, I went into cooking. So I love cooking, love steaks, as you would have seen thousands of times.
Yeah.
And I backed myself heaps in the kitchen too. Like I got way too much confidence. It's like, oh yeah, I can do that dish. Like I'll be able to figure it out. But my family, like my mum's a good cook. My auntie's she's Kylie Kwong. She's got a restaurant. Oh, she actually had a restaurant. She was on MasterChef and shit like that. So like she was the master chef that would come in and cook for everyone. So I don't know. I've just always kind of been able to cook, and I really enjoy it because it's therapeutic in a way too. Going now, when I'm at work, it's go, 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 go. But when I get to do that, like it slows me down as well. So it's a good thing.
Does Chloe cook, or you just cook everything?
She's bumped it up. She before me, she never cooked, but now she actually cooks more than I do. She does majority of the meals. I wouldn't say I've taught her. I've guided her along the way of how to do a few things, but she kills it now. Like I'm pumped. Like she can cook. She can cook. We went to dinner the other night to Chin Chin, and we had pork roast and pork belly. Sorry.
Yeah.
And her pork roast is heaps better than theirs was. So, but yeah, she can cook. She never used to be able to cook.
So what's it like, having all the NRL boys come to the gym? That'd be pretty cool, eh?
Yeah, that is cool, man. Like, it's cool to match yourself up against them, see how you'd fare against them with their fitness levels and stuff like that. But like, you quickly realize that the boys are just the boys.
Yeah.
The best thing about footy players, right? It doesn't matter how old you are, what generation you come to. Like my old man, he's an old school footballer, but if he meets a first grader these days, they've still got that connection. You can talk to each other, and you've just got that certain connection. It was like I only met Horo 2-3 weeks ago, when he came in, and like you talk to each other, and it's just like you've known each other for ages. So that's why I love having the boys in there, because it's just like it's just normal. It just feels so comfortable, and you just gravitate towards each other.
Footy chat's all the same.
All the same. All the banner's the same. But no, it's a special feeling to know that these boys, they choose to come train with you during their off season when they could be at home resting or doing nothing, or literally anything, because it's their only time off. But they choose to come in because they want to be around that environment. But that's the thing about Reborn. It's built off the back of a team environment, because literally every single one of the boys has come from a rugby league background. All my trainers, all the boys, and it's honestly one of the criteria is that like if you're a rugby league player and you were an average PT, but you were a good PT, but you never played team sports in particular, I probably would lean towards a rugby league player, because team sports in rugby league in particular, they get it. They get like getting in the trenches together. Like when you're at work, it's the same as, when things pile up and you go back to back, it's the same as, defending back-to-back sets on your line. You got fuck it, bite down your mouth guard. We've got to get it done, and we're in it together. So that's why I kind of lean toward, like, I'm always trying to get more and more football players. And I figured that out only like 6-7 months ago. And it's funny because I started with 2 footy players and it was really easy. And then I kind of went away from that, but now back into just kind of that kind of style.
Your kids must love
cool
it,
having the boys.
seeing them and then watching them on TV as well.
Yeah, they don't really get it yet.
Okay.
Like Ace, my 2-year-old, like during COVID at the start when the boys went in a bubble, we'd have Boydie come over and train, and like his first time Ace has done push-ups and squats was with Boyd Cordner, the Australian Cats in New South Wales. He won't know. We're lucky we got videos of it. Like my missus came out and started filming because Ace he's a boy's boy. You can already tell he's very much like me. Yeah. He came out and we're like, we're doing push-ups and then Ace would jump down and he starts doing the push-ups and shit like that. But no, they don't get it just yet. But it's going to be cool when they look back when they're older and they're like, oh, Damien Cook, like he was over my house like the other day. Like I will start picking up a little bit more.
Just one of the boys now.
Yeah, like it's just nothing. Like where AC when he met Boyd, he was like, "You daddy's cousin," and Boyd's like, "Yeah, pretty much, bro, pretty much." You know what I mean?
Yeah. So talk to me about your morning routine. What's that like?
Morning routine. So my alarm goes off at 4:20. 6 days out of 7. The only day it doesn't go off at that time is on Thursday mornings, where it goes off at 5:20. Yeah. But to be honest, and the reason behind that is my manager is like, if you want to get into a good sleep cycle, you have to always wake up within an hour of if you wake up at 4:20 every day, the latest you should wake up is 5:20, and that will keep you in a good sleep cycle. But even though my alarm goes off at 4:20, I very rarely do I ever hear my alarm.
Yeah.
So I'll get up 4 a.m., have a shower. Just before I have a shower, I go through all my messages because I've gone to bed so early. So I generally have to get back to people. So I write back to I probably wrote back to you a few times. If you look, I wrote back at like 4 a.m. in the morning, stuff like that. Because that's when I go through my phone and I write back to everyone, have a shower, get changed. Like I have everything kind of set. Like I have all my clothes ready to go every day. I even park my car on the other side of the road so that I can get away a bit faster because I go that way to go get coffee unless I'm going straight to work. I go that way. So shit like that. But my morning routine is dead set, like to the minute, that part from when I wake up to get in to get to work, get coffee for all the boys, get in. And then if I'm working, I'll do 2 sessions in a row and then I train first thing. So no matter what, my first priority is always to get a training session in as soon as I possibly can. Yeah. Every morning.
You do a lot of long distance running, eh?
Yeah, I don't know what. Not really in terms of what long stuff I used to do because I'm not training for a marathon at the moment. But yeah, I do with 3 days a week. I'm taking a run club, and every time I do about 9 to 10 kilometers. But that's not long. Long for me is like 20 to 25 to 30. They're like the 34. 25 to 34.
Yeah, because I just got into running and I want to do a marathon next year.
Hectic. Oh, they're gnarly, man. The training's for it's hectic. Which one are you going to do?
I'm not sure yet. I'm just focusing on running and adding more kilometers every week.
Do the Gold Coast Marathon, and I'll be doing it because that's one I was meant to be doing this year, and I'll do it with you. So you do that one, we'll do it together.
Yeah, sweet, bro.
And then you just got to keep running. Just keep running, get the legs up. You've got a running coach or anything like that?
There's this guy up in the mountains that he does a lot of running. He's crazy though.
What's his name? Is it
Corey Philpott?
Yeah, CosFit.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wants to jump on my podcast. Has he got a podcast?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he wants me to jump on his, and I'm going to get him on mine as well. He does crazy shit. He asked me the other day if I do a 50K ride into a 50K run into a 50K
I had him on the podcast last week.
I was like, bro. Oh, was that? And then he said, because he messaged me. Did he talk about his 3 inspirational people?
Yeah.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Yeah, his dad and another guy and then me. And I was like, bro, that's hectic.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
And he's training for the world's strongest marathon too. He's fucking crazy.
I mean, that's next level. He makes me look like a pussy.
Yeah, he runs a run club. So I'll be doing that tomorrow morning, which is like 7K. 440.
420? 440. Sorry, not 420, 440. Yeah. We had one out here for a bit as well. But nah, he seems like he knows what he's doing. So speak to him about like what runs you should do And then next year, all of us, me, you, and because I will get up, we'll do the Gold Coast Marathon together. He'd do it tomorrow. He's crazy,
Bro,
that guy.
every weekend he's running crazy distances. I'm like, what the hell?
Crazy. Getting up like 3 a.m. and running like fucking 60 Ks and stupid shit like that. But like in hard terrain, like up in the trails and that's ruthless.
Like, I don't know if you know the mountains much. Do you?
Yeah.
So he basically ran from like the bottom to like the top in one day. It was like 80 Ks or something. Took him like 10 hours or something. I was like, shit.
That sounds gross. That sounds gross, man. I'm not about that. That's too much. 45-minute sessions, man. Come on, man.
Nah, I want to do a marathon to test myself, but other than that, bro, I'm not sure about ultras and shit. That's crazy.
No, I had a guy that used to work for me. He used to do those ultras. Just take, like, he was doing like 155 kilometers a week in running. I did 200 in a month and it almost killed me. It was torture. In a month, he was doing like 150. I think he was averaging 155 a week.
Shit.
Not me, man.
Yeah, I prefer the gym.
Me and you both, brother.
But I do love running. It's good for the mental clarity and all that.
Oh, it's a different high, right? It's a different high after running. Like you feel a lot clearer. I don't know what it is about it, but whether it's that you're outdoors, whether it's more challenging, but I always find that like after you finish running, it's the ultimate high. When
you get all your ideas in that when you're running too.
1 minute, you do your best thinking. Even once you get into that rhythm, the first K, 2Ks, sometimes more, you kind of, this hurts, that hurts, legs are heavy, but you get into that rhythm and you get to that point where you're running, but you're not thinking about running. Yeah. That's when the great ideas come from.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's the moment. Yeah.
So talk to me about personal development. What do you do for that? You read a lot of books?
I read a lot of books. So 3 podcasts a week, and then I'm actually a shit reader. Like I'm doing my best. I've only just got back into it this week, but I'm off myself at the moment.
Maybe when you read Atomic Habits, you're putting your book on the pillow to make sure that you read.
Yeah. So I got out of that habit, but I've done that. I'm glad you asked this week because last week I hadn't read in ages. But I've been listening to heaps of podcasts. That's easy because I listen to them when I'm running. But reading, I'm making sure that I'm getting back into that now. And I don't know if you call this personal development, like I always, I'm always big about my goals. So every single week I'm making sure I write down everything that I'm doing. I just keep myself accountable. So that's along the lines of personal development.
Yeah, you're a big goal setter, aren't you? And you like planning everything to the T.
Planning everything that I do. I make sure that I be as organized as I possibly can, because that's where confidence comes from. If you're prepared, then going into whatever it is, you always feel confident. It's like when you're younger, when you go into a test, if you didn't study for the test, you'd be shitting yourself. But if you studied, which I very rarely did, but if I did, I'd walk in there confident and comfortable. And that's why, I always want to feel that. I always want to feel confident or comfortable that I can get shit done. So that's why I'm always organized.
Do you do any meditation or breathing, like Wim Hof stuff, like Hoz and all that did on the weekend?
Nah, not. I wouldn't say it's not for me. I'd say not right now. Meditating every now and then, if I feel like I'm getting a little bit overwhelmed. Yeah. Or no, probably not overwhelmed. More, I've done it in the past where I struggle to switch off. Whereas I get a little bit of a break in between my days, and if I get a 15 minutes, and I'm like, all right, you need to chill out for a bit. Yeah. I'll go and do 10, 15 minutes, but only when I feel like I need it. It's not something I do all the time.
So tell me, how do you stay so motivated and full of energy every day? It's like you're high on life every day, bro.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what because I got asked this the other day by one of my mates. He's like, how do you stay motivated all the time? I think it comes down to my goals. Like I said at the start, I've come from a pretty dark place, so everything seems pretty good. And so when I talk about these, today, going through it again, like I said, it reignites that fire again. Yeah. So life is so good compared to those times. When you taste that depth of just, it's disgusting down there, So everything's easy now, and that's why there's a lot to be happy about. But what keeps me going the most is it's the effect that it has on people as well. Like when I'm positive, you see people smile. I see people walk in my gym, and I'm like, it's 5 a.m. in the morning, and I'm yelling, Johnny, yes, it's good
Yeah.
to see you, legend. That person smiles, right? And they walk in, and then that gives you that good feeling. And then the next person walks in, and it just becomes end on end because you just become so used to it. And it's always nice when you put out positive energy, you always get it back.
Mm. You must receive a lot of messages as well.
Yeah, actually, in particular today, I got a few from my gym. I've got a fair few people that messaged me. I had like 4 or 5 before 10 a.m. I went through them when I was coming back here, but on Instagram and stuff like that, and it all comes from Ice. From
Yeah.
that. I still get people saying, "Oh, I just listened to your podcast with Ice, and changed my life." And it's cool now. Like over the past 2 or 3 months, because it's been has it only been a year? I think it's only been a year since I did that, but like a lot of people saying, I'm a year sober, or I'm 9 months sober, I'm 8 months sober, changed my life, and you hear that kind of shit, and it's like, wow. And that, again, okay, that's probably another reason why I stay motivated, because I know the effect that it's having on people who's been that shining light in tough times, and showing people no matter how tough things get, there's no lower point than suicide. And if I can get out of that moment, then it gives people hope that they can do that. So that's probably a pretty big motivator as well. And then the last one is your kids.
Yeah.
Kids, I'm very fortunate now. I'm surrounded by a lot of good people, but at the moment, in particular, Adam Dykes. So he's one of my trainers at the moment, and he's got three beautiful boys, right? One of them works for us as well.
Yep.
And we constantly talk about, fatherhood and like what it means. And, like a lot of his stuff, he tells me, like, I sit down, like I'm like locked in when he's telling me, because you look at his sons, and his sons, all 3 of his sons there, his youngest isn't old enough to drink, but none of them drink. They very rarely drink, sorry. Like Kato, the one that works for me, is 18, has never been drunk. But that's one thing that like I like. But the biggest thing is that they're just polite kids. You know what I mean? They're very well respected. Like they come up to you and they look in your eyes, shake your hands, like all the old school kind of stuff. So having kids and being the role model, not by what you say so much, but what you do every day. So like my sons will see me train every single day. My sons will see me come home sweaty from a session every single day. They'll see that, and they'll see me be positive every day. So that's again, that would be like the number one motivator on top of all those other things.
And kids are like monkey see, monkey do. They're going to follow what you do.
Exactly. It doesn't matter what you say. Like, it's what you do. That's the, actions are like, it's cliche, but actions speak louder than words.
Do you have any,
never more so as a parent.
do you have any fear of your kids kind of going down the same track you did?
Yeah, of course, 1,000,000%. But I can't focus on that because that's out of my control.
Yeah, exactly.
All I can do is provide the best example that I possibly can, and hope that it doesn't happen. But like, I truly believe if I try, like, just trusting the process, if I'm living the life, like I did what my old man did in terms of drinking and stuff like that. He never took drugs or anything like that. But you see that stuff, and that what creeps into your lifestyle. If my kids never see me drink, then the chances of them drinking is going to be a lot less than if I was. So yeah, I do have the fear, but there's no point worrying about that if I can't control it. I can't control what they do. All I can do is control my actions that they will follow.
Yeah, like what's going to happen is going to happen. Like if you didn't go through what you did, you wouldn't be in the position you are now.
Exactly, and I'm, as much as you don't want to, you've got to let your kids make their own mistakes.
Yeah,
my old man, the poor bugger, had to watch me make every mistake possible because I couldn't be told what to do. That was me, man. I danced to the beat of my own drum. And the biggest reason why I was able to be successful and stay sober is because I never blamed anyone.
Yeah.
Never blamed my parents, never blamed anyone. It was always that was my shit. And I knew that as a kid. Like I would do things the way I want to do it, despite what the potential outcome would be, because that was just my personality.
Mm. What was the biggest lesson you learnt over those few years of drug addiction and then rehab?
How important you're when I got back
Yeah.
or when I was in it?
Like, what was the lessons you learnt over that whole time period?
Like a few things. So during, like when I got back, how important my environment was, who I surrounded myself with, and how important goals were as well. Like you look at the start of 2015 had no goals, no direction, went straight down the gurgler. By the time halfway 2016, set all these goals, and my life just started changing, and that was because of the environment I was around and the people that I was hanging out with as well. So they're the three main things. Sorry, one more, and then ownership, which we just touched on before. Just own everything in your life. Like every mistake in your life is your fault because you're accountable to your own actions, and just taking that and then having that mindset with everything. If this fails, it's on you. If this goes good, it's on you. So having that kind of ownership.
Yeah. Do you have someone that you look up to or who inspires you?
Oh, that's a hard one. I suppose in business, I look up to Ice. Ice is really good. If I was like struggling for creative kind of content or anything like that or ideas, I'd probably go speak to him. He's definitely someone I look up to.
Yeah.
My old man as well. I think that's a lot of sons that look up to their dad. Louis as well. But yeah, like with Louis, it's more the way that guy carries himself. He's a very talented footballer, but that's like a small part. But Louis is a very respectful man of how he's gone through his life. He's rugby league players get a lot of bad raps, but if they were all like Louis,
Yeah, he was awesome, like on and off the field.
Yeah, you watch him now, right? Like just this week, he called up a lady. Someone messaged him and said, "Can you call this lady? She's about to pass away. She'd love to talk to you. It's her birthday. She wants to try and get to her birthday before passing away." And anyways, he did. Called her. She spoke about, and the lady's son. He's really good mates with the bloke that went to my work, and he told me about it and said that she spoke to him, and he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to call that person, but just little things like that. Like he's never been too big for anyone or anything. So yeah, Louis is another one I'll probably say I look up to.
Didn't you guys start this like Lewis and Young fitness thing?
Lewis and Young, yeah. We were just talking about then when we're gonna launch that. So we were gonna launch it the week when we went back into gyms, which would have been pointless. So we're just talking about now when we're going to launch it on September 1 now. We just got to throw it out there and just see how it goes anyway. I think the first one will be a bit of trial and error, but we've done all the hard stuff. We've just got to get it out there. We were honestly just too busy once we got back into it. I went straight back into obviously the gym, and that first 6 weeks, man. Like I don't reckon I got 15 minutes to spare from day to day, and then he went straight back into commentating, and he had a few other personal things that happened as well that kind of set him back a little bit. So we just didn't have time, but you'll see he's starting to throw some banner around over because he hasn't been training with me either. He's been trying to get big.
Yeah.
And that sounds stupid, right? Because he's fucking massive. But
yeah, I seen him on Matty John's last night. Fuck, he was looking jacked.
He's massive, man. He's so big. He shaved his beard for it. I was filthy at him.
So where are you looking to take it? Like, what's the goals for it?
Oh, we just always want to work together, do something. With that one, it's kind of let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
Ideally, we want to do fitness retreats.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, fitness retreats. So we get the boys to come with us. The next Lewis and Young, we might have a few of the boys jump on, and you get to train with them, that kind of style. But man, we just want to do something together. We had a bit of time. No, we weren't doing much like at the time during isolation. So
yeah,
we got it done, and then we'll just see where it takes us.
That's awesome, bro. Can't wait to see.
Yeah, me too.
What hobbies do you have when you have spare time?
Cooking. I'd say cooking is my hobby. That's it, man. That's all I really
Just
do.
cooking.
Cook,
You love that Wagyu
train.
guy, don't you?
Bah, Mr. Wagyu Gary. He's a cool story. I'm gonna have him on my podcast next.
That's
How
awesome.
that came about. That's a cool story. I'll leave that one for when we get on
Yeah.
the podcast. It takes too long.
Where do you see yourself in the next few years?
So in the next few years, the goals is by the end of next year, have that factory that I was
Yep.
talking to you about. So by the end of 2021, doing that, doing the fitness retreats with Louis, buy a bigger house in the next 3 years as well. The house is big enough, but like it's kind of, always one of those goals. And then by the end of 5 years, have the franchises of Reborn.
Any more kids?
Yeah, man, I would have already had one already, but Chloe didn't want to be pregnant for our wedding.
Okay.
But now we're probably not going to be able to have this because it's in November. So we don't know what's going on. I don't know. But no, we both want to have, we want to have one more, hopefully 3 boys, of course. But if we have a girl, we have a girl. I've got 2 boys, 1 girl. It's pretty much a dream result, no matter where I go. 3 boys or 2 boys, 1 girl. Either way, I'm winning.
So last 2 questions. When your time's up on this earth, what would you like to be remembered for?
How do I word this? For like providing value, but like in like a helping way. Like as I want to be remembered for the help that I've the benefits I've given everyone from like my story and my positivity. So just be remembered for how I've helped people.
And what's your definition of success?
I think life probably sums it up best is when you wake up and you're happy to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
When you wake up and it's not a chore to get out of bed, I think that's successful right there. Whether you're making millions, whether you're making $1,000 every year, it doesn't matter. If you're happy in doing whatever, everyone's success is completely different.
Yeah.
But if you're happy, I think that's success because there's a lot of unhappy people out there. And if you wake up in the morning and you're happy, I think that's success.
Yeah, happiness is key.
100%, because if you're happy, you do your job better, right? Yeah. I say that to my staff all the time. I'm like I give my staff a lot of rope, and it's like, all right, I give you rope. If you hang yourself, that's on you. But how I see it is, if you're happy with what you're doing, then you're going to provide better value that way as well. So yeah, happiness is the key to success.
Sweet. And quickly, where can people find you on socials and the podcast?
Podcast Becoming Reborn. My personal Instagram is TravisYoung06, and then my gym is Reborn Fitness Club.
Sweet. Well, that's done for the episode. Thank you for coming on. Give me your time, man. Really appreciate it.
No worries, brother. I hope you have a good day, and thanks for having me on.
All good, mate. Cheers.
Later, bro. Chat to you soon.
There, bro.
See you, bro.